I've shared this story so many times with so many people, but it never ceases to amaze me how it continues to impact people to this day. Manny's story, it may seem just about a guy and his buddies, but I think you'll find out it's so much more. Manny was the kind of guy that people liked. People loved him. He was captivating, incredibly warm-hearted, kind, compassionate, well-read, and incredibly gifted. In another time and another place, Manny probably would have been an international movie star, or quite possibly one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen. But Manny didn't long for material success. Now, Manny was all about sharing with others, especially his friends.
It all began with a small, tight-knit group of guys and their typical guy trips. Soon the trips evolved into epic journeys. When they went on a golf trip, they went to Scotland. A weekend in Vegas? No. They went for the entire month of March Madness. A trip to Tuscany once for a wine tasting turned into them making their own wine. On a fishing trip once planned by Drew and Pete, who were both raised as fishermen, Pete showed off his skills when he caught a record 300-pounder. These guys even went on a mission trip to Malawi and ended up feeding thousands. Each adventure deepened their commitment and dedication to each other and their group motto, Sutiu. As their guide and mentor, Manny had suggested the ancient word that meant guts, glory, persistence, and togetherness. The guys felt so empowered by the new word, they had it tattooed on their wrists as a sign of their brotherhood. One year it came time for the mother of all trips, climbing Mount McKinley. They arrived on Sunday and spent the week training to make their summit on Friday. Matt served as their historian by blogging daily about the experience and their learning. His first post detailed the situation when they set foot in town on Super Sunday. All of the friends had arrived early enough to watch everything unfold on TV, but they were completely let down when they found a non-working TV in their cabin. Luckily, their frustration waned as they quickly pivoted to their kinship and storytelling to bypass the time. Manny was the only one of the group with real climbing experience, so he led them throughout the week, just as he always did. On Thursday, the night before the climb, and as the tension and stress swelled, Manny prepared a feast in the cabin. They shared stories, a wonderful meal, and Manny went around to each of his friends, thanking them for everything they had been through, and sharing his insight and tips for the coming challenge. But nobody could have prepared for what the next day would bring. Friday came, and as they progressed toward the summit, the friends worked steadily, carefully, each linked to one another, and following Manny's instructions to the letter. Just then, as they neared a critical crossing, Jude unhooked himself from the lead, marched from the back of the pack, got close to Manny, cut his rope, and then pushed him over the edge of the mountain. He quickly glanced back at the others and then jumped off the cliff himself. The friends were in shock. What just happened? Why? How? Devastated and not knowing how to go on without Manny, the friends retreated to the cabin and immediately alerted the authorities. Over the next few days, the group searched for answers and prayed for good news. The first responders did all they could, but when a huge storm suddenly rolled through the area, the search was called off and the men were confined to the cabin. They felt lost, hopeless. Like a terrible dream, they sat in the cabin, frozen, quietly staring into space. How could such a jovial start to the week turn into such a sour ending? To their surprise, the TV, which, mind you, hadn't worked all week, came on by itself, and their friend Manny, with visible cuts and scrapes from his fall, was there live on the screen. The friends couldn't believe their eyes. Tom, who was always the slowest to believe. He walked over to the TV, grabbed the loose plug off of the floor, looked at his friends and wondered out loud how any of this could be happening.
As the friends sat there, frozen in silence, Manny spoke to his brothers from the TV. Here's his words. Gentlemen, I know you have questions about what happened, and many of you have felt great loss. But I want to assure you that I am alive. You won't comprehend this all right now, but in time you will. You know I was about the mission, always, and this is simply the best way to carry it forward. Remember everything I taught you, showed you, explained to you. You have the answers. You know the way. I have two simple requests. First, share my story with everyone. Take it and make the world a better place by sharing it. You'll find that I will be with you in some powerful, inexplicable ways. Don't be surprised. Just know that while I need to go, know that I will always be with you. With that, he simply signed off. Until we meet again, Emmanuel. And that was it. Manny had come through again in their time of need. He simply reminded them that they had the power to go on, and that he was still with them, always and forever. They just had to go share his story with the world, and that they did. Some traveled to places near and far and told thousands about Manny's story. Today, Manny's love has been felt by so many, and his plan to make his brothers better is surpassed only by his ability to make everyone better. To make anyone who hears this story his story. To make them better. To make them more powerful, more loving, more kind, more compassionate, and dedicated to a life filled with passion. In a way, it was just as Manny wanted. Oh, and about Manny's second request. Manny simply asked his brothers in the cabin to stand up, walk to the nearest mirror, and place their tattooed wrists in front of that mirror. What those gentlemen saw in the reflection in the mirror would remain with them for the rest of eternity. Sutiu. Now with us.